welcome the President of General Motors, Mark Royce.
Wow. Oh, man. This is the day. Well, finally, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? I think I speak for a lot of us here when I say it's hard to believe this is really actually happening. Before I tell you about the car, I have to say that we are all incredibly thrilled and honored by the presence of the true American heroes that kicked off our show tonight. So thanks so much for joining us. Thank you so much. I mean, I was a little kid, and watching these grainy images, I was completely blown away by the moon landing, and the lunar lander, and the man walking on the moon. And we were all thinking, this country is the best. I built an incredibly detailed model of the Apollo lunar module. When I was finished, it felt like the coolest thing I'd ever done. I built many other model rockets after that, like the kind you can launch right in your backyard, but that's a different story for a different day. Today, it is almost impossible to think that it's been 50 years this week since the Apollo 11 landing. 50 years. After all those years, here I am at the launch of another engineering marvel, another one that blows my mind, makes my spine tingle, that makes me proud to be an American, and that makes me want to build things. Appropriately, for a vehicle that's been an American icon since 1953, the new generation represents one giant leap for Corvette. The 2020 Chevrolet Corvette is, true to the vision of creator Zora Arkus-Duntov, a mid-engine supercar. The C8 is everything Zora dreamed of with technology he never could have imagined. For me personally, seeing the Corvette and meeting Zora for the first time all trace back to growing up in this great business. On many weekend afternoons, my dad took me to work with him at the GM Tech Center in Warren, Michigan, specifically the Chevrolet Engineering Building, where the Corvette came to life. I spent many of those rides to Warren hunched in the rear flat area of Corvette coupes. On the way home, he would take me by the GM Research Building lobby to see the Firebirds in the original silver Stingray. I just loved everything about it. And they used to have a swap meet in Warren down the road from the GM Tech Center where they'd sell Chevrolet heads and parts and all kinds of stuff. On one of those weekend trips to work when I was about 10, I begged my dad to stop at the swap meet so we could check it out, and he did. We go inside the huge warehouse-like building to look around, and there's Zora. I'd never seen him before, but you could tell right away that he was someone special. He was sitting there holding court, signing all kinds of things for all kinds of people, and it was just so cool, such a great moment. It all contributed to the aura of Corvette for me and reinforced what I already knew I wanted to do with my life. That's why it's so special and so exciting for me to be up here on this stage with this car. This car, the all-new 2020 Corvette, is one that changes everything. With every succeeding generation since 1953, Chevrolet has worked hard to make Corvette better and better. We've never stopped improving, never stopped innovating, and never stopped making the car faster, better handling, more comfortable, more everything. You can make the case that once we got to C7, we had pushed the limits of what we could do in that configuration. It was as close to perfection as front-engine, rear-drive Corvette was going to get. To take performance and driving dynamics to the next level for our customers, we had to move to mid-engine. And that's what Zora had always wanted, of course. In 1959, exactly 60 years ago, Zora and his team went to work on developing Chevrolet Engineering Research Vehicle Number 1, commonly known as SERV-1. SERV-1, which made its debut in 1960, was a demonstration of what happens when you push the boundaries of engineering and design to develop a mid-engine race car. What made Serve 1 so unique was how light and powerful it really was. The car only weighed 1,600 pounds, and the body accounted for 80 pounds of that. The 283 cubic inch V8 powered the Serve 1 produced 350 horsepower and weighed only 350 pounds, thanks to the then novel use of aluminum in the cylinder block and heads, and several other critical parts like the water pump and the flywheel. Zora's team also used magnesium in the clutch housing and fuel injection manifold, and it also featured mechanical fuel injection. But my favorite aspect of Serve 1, and it's probably yours too, if you've ever seen it run, you can actually see flames coming out of the back of it, and it is just unreal. So Serve 1 was followed by what I think is the most beautiful of all the Serve vehicles, Serve 2, in 1964. The Serve 2 was an amazing car, built to compete against the Ford GTs at Le Mans. It had a monocoque chassis, a 377 cubic inch V8 producing 500 horsepower. Importantly, Serve 2 was, in fact, all-wheel drive. The transmission featured a unique configuration in which the rear wheels were driven by one torque converter and the front wheels through another in the front. Zora patented this configuration in 1968. Serve 2 also marked the beginning of the velocity stacks, like the McLarens had, which were developed, in fact, by General Motors R&D, and that car is very, very special in my opinion. And in 1990, the Serve 3 made its debut. I was already working at the company, so I remember it being built around the time we were spending a lot of time at the GM Proving Ground working on sort of the holy grail of a true active suspension system. Serve 3 did have that yaw control and kept it stable through the active suspension, and it had active aero and other advanced technology on it. Like its predecessor, it had an all-wheel drive mid-engine configuration. And it was powered by a turbocharged ZR1 5.7 V8 producing 650 horsepower. And it weighed only 3,400 pounds thanks to extensive use of carbon fiber, and the central structure was in fact a carbon fiber torque tube that weighed only 38 pounds. The ends of that beam were machined from titanium. Those three Serve vehicles and their legacy are very much the inspiration for this new, first ever, mid-engine 2020 Corvette Stingray. They show what Corvette has always been about for Chevrolet and GM, pushing the boundaries of innovation in terms of propulsion, material usage, and performance. Now, just as Corvette has been a halo for Chevrolet and the brand, these Serve cars were a halo for GM R&D, pushing the company to greater innovation and to new heights. They also serve to show that mid-engine has always been a part of Corvette's destiny, and it's something we've been looking at for a very, very long time. All along, it has been absolutely paramount that we keep Corvette true to its roots of attainable performance. Mid-engine has historically posed a challenge to this mission. Not so anymore. The time has come today, and we feel that both Corvette traditionalists and potential new customers will embrace the change in layout, especially once they see it and drive it. They'll think it's flat out the best Corvette they've ever driven, and that will be because it's the best Corvette anybody's driven. There are many reasons for that, even beyond the mid-engine layout, like the way it feels, the way it sounds, the way it looks, and the incredible attention to every detail on the car. And that's what we're going to dive into now with Phil and then Taj. So please join me in welcoming the Executive Design Director of Global Chevrolet, Mr. Phil Zag. Phil?
Thanks, Mark. Thanks. Thanks, Mark. At GM, every time we take on the task of designing a new Corvette, it must build on its storied history and push towards the future. The current 7th generation Corvette and each one before it had a strong and powerful presence. But the new mid-engine eclipses anything we've ever done before. This is not merely a new chapter in the Corvette legacy, this is an all-new book. But before I continue, I want to acknowledge the true design talent that really brought this mid-engine Corvette to life, as well as generations prior. John Cafaro, former Chevrolet Executive Director of Design. John, you in the audience? There you go. And also Tom Peters, former Corvette chief designer. Tom, please stand. Yeah. Now, both John and Tom have recently retired from GM, but they're here with us tonight to share this moment. Their legacy and talent will forever live on with Chevrolet and into the future with this new stunning 2020 Stingray. I hope you'd all agree with us. Now, Chevrolet has always been a symphony of performance, design, and engineering. But on this car, every element has been elevated to the next level of craftsmanship. The Stingray's exterior is a powerful, bold, futuristic design statement with exotic proportions, a wider stance, but still unmistakably Corvette. You can see the continued influence of aircraft design, lean and muscular with sculpted shapes, conveying a sense of motion even while standing still. With the new cab forward driving position and rear engine location, the proportions become the essence of a jet fighter for the road. There you go. As you would have expected, we've maintained some of the essential Corvette design cues that are timeless and transition well into this new mid-engine configuration. For example, the bold front face with LED lights and aggressive dual-element DRL signature proudly say Corvette. The strong fender peaks over the front wheel and rear quarter give the Corvette the expected athletic, muscular appearance. The sleek sculpture is low, taut, and narrow-driven. And the horizontal crease down the body side is the main design element that gives Corvette its sleek appearance and anchors the fender shapes and aggressive side intake. The purity of this feature is so significant that we hid the door handle releases underneath the side intake to keep them clean and uninterrupted look. Now, as you move to the rear of the car, the dual element tail lamps are uniquely Corvette with an enhanced three-dimensional execution. With the wide lamp location and the lower dual